Good
Good
morning.
morning. Happy
Memorial
Memorial
Day.
Day. Got my holidays mixed up. Uh, Happy Memorial Day and good morning. We are
Yes, good
so
morning.
happy to be with you. Sorry for our tardiness. Uh, Had a long morning and caught us off guard. So we're so glad to be with you. We want to share with you um, our spiritual 52 weeks challenge with the Israel Temple CME Church, Pastor Roderick Freeman, and First Lady Sabrina Freeman. Want to thank you for joining in.
Yes.
Our scripture, as always, is First John 4:4. Uh, you are of God, little children, and have overcome them, because he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. And our word today we want to share with you is
Responsibility.
responsibility. So let's talk about it just for a little while. Responsibility. My wife will come as she always does.
Responsibility. The state or fact of having a duty to deal with something or of having control over someone. The state of or fact of being accountable. The opportunity or ability to act independently and make decision without authorization. Responsibility is definitely a huge word that we all have to have in our lives. There's no way of not having the word responsibility in your lives, because we all definitely know we have to be responsible for our actions as individuals, as parents, as workers out here in this world. When you're on a job, we have to be responsible for our children up until they turn a certain age. But you still always have to feel that that responsibility for your children, even when they get past the age of 18 and consider themselves grown or so forth.
Mhm.
But definitely responsibility, as it clearly states, is something that you something or of having control over someone. So again, that relates to your children. And then the state or fact of being accountable, because we all have to be accountable for our actions, our
Yes.
words, our things that we do or say. um, you know when you are saying things and when you tell someone that you're going to do something, you have to be accountable for what you say. We go out here in this world and we do things, and we don't think about them. You have to know that there are consequences with those things that you do in life. There's
Mhm.
a 50-50 chance of things going good. There's a 50-50 chance of things going bad. But you have to take responsibility for those things that you do
Right.
and those words that you say. Words are very powerful that come out of our mouths. So that's why you have to stop and think sometimes of what you say before you go out and say them, because they hurt people. They can hurt people and they can linger on in someone's lives for a long time.
Yes.
Sometimes you think that when you say things to people that they just let it go, but no, I've heard of different stories of people saying, so and so said something to me, and that's still with me to today because it
Hmm.
hurts. Words hurt. So you have to have accountability. You have to be responsible for your things that you do and say, and definitely in all aspects, as I said earlier, of life. You know, we sorry about that. We sometimes think that um, our children, when they're growing up, we're responsible for them and their things that they do, even though they're a separate person. But as a parent, you have to be responsible for your child, meaning you have to be able to care for that child. You have to be able to provide for that child. You have to be able to teach that child the ways of this life and teach them accordingly to how God wants us to teach them. And then, so that they can grow up and be the man or woman that God has called them to be. But sometimes want it to put that responsibility on everybody else except for
Mhm.
ourselves.
Right.
But and then we sometimes think it's the school's responsibility to teach our children. It may be, because that's what they're there for. That's what they are um, hired to do, is to teach our children. But again, we stated last week, teaching your children starts at home. That is just a simple thing of being
Right.
responsible individuals and being responsible parents to do what you're supposed to do with that child. Your school is not going to always teach your child the values that you have, or the morals that you need in life, and the
Mhm.
character that you want them to become and be. So therefore, we as individuals have to do those things. Just a little snippet. We went this weekend on an anniversary trip that my husband took me on to Montgomery, Alabama, and I had never been to Montgomery, Alabama. But in history, we know that so many things took place in Montgomery, Alabama, with civil rights and the boycotts and the Rosa Parks, taking a stance and sitting on that bus that day. And it started a lot of things. But we went to some different museums over the weekend, and I tell you, if you weren't moved by those, we were so moved and we were so touched, and we turned to each other at one point in time. And we said, young people need to realize and maybe need to come and see this, because it brings you back to being responsible. Our ancestors and those people that we seen being memorialized on stones that were hanging on walls,
Mhm.
they died so that we may have a right to things, that we may have a right to vote, that we may be able to have freedom one day. So our young people need to learn to be responsible for the things that you do in life, not
Right.
go out here and make rash decisions and wrong decisions
Right.
because you think that that's the way of life, and watching people on TV do things, listening to rap music. And not saying all rap music is bad, and not saying all TV shows is bad, but sometimes the influence that is over our children and the things that they think that they have to do in order to have some kind of name for themselves.
Right.
It's just not that. So you as parents got to be responsible and know that there are people that died for us
Right.
so that we may have the right to be able to walk on this earth, live on this earth. We're still not there where we need to be. Trust me, I know that we're not there where we need to be. But we as African American and as people and as parents and as colored people in this world, we have to be responsible. We have to take a stance when it's time to take a stance. We have to be able to voice our concerns and our opinions, but do it correctly. There's a
Right.
way to do it and there's a way not to do it, but be responsible for those things that you know that God has called you to be responsible over.
Right. And when I thought about the word responsibility, I was looking at the definition, and the word, some couple of words popped out to me was one, um, being or acting independently and making decisions without authorization. You know, uh, we we always throw it out there. Our children when we were young, or when we were young, and now our children, they want to be more independent. Uh, they want they want you to trust them a little bit more. Especially we got a teenager now. He has his driving license. He always trust me. I do right by driving the car. Please let me drive the car. That's that independency. We have ladies, you know how we are. If you tell a woman, or you talk to us, men and women, first one of the words they gonna come out their mouth, what, I'm an independent woman. I don't need a man, and all that kind of stuff. We throw out that word real quick. Men, we want to say we independent, that we can stand on our own and with our finances, and on our own, and take care of our responsibilities. And I'm a man, I'm independent, I have I can do this, and I don't need nobody's validation. I don't need nobody's authorization to do what I want to do. I'm a man.
Yes.
If I want to go here, I should be able to go here. All right, we understand that. We throw that word out. We throw those words out, independent, and being independent, and making the decision without authorization, having the attitude. But when you really think about it, are you independent?
Mm.
Are you responsible?
Right.
You know, responsibility is about you not just saying it, but you being able to put actions to words, thinking it, doing it, and saying it. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's what one thing we try to teach our kids, and we try to teach, especially our teenagers that's driving now. He, you know, when he asks for the car, say we got to trust him, and that he's independent, he can do this. And that he is responsible. We tell him, you know, one of our questions is, are you? Show me. You know, because your actions today will validate your responsibility and who you are next week, you know, and how we trust you, you know. So responsibility. We have the responsibility over a lot of things, and we take it for granted. You know, especially today with everything. I know the world, like my wife said, I know the world is not like it was in 1920, even the 1800s. You know, we went to that museum, you seen things, you seen the dates, and I told my wife, the Lord knew when to allow me to be born, because I don't think I would have made it. You know, not because I'm weak. If I'm the same person today and I was born back then, I would have been on that list of people that got hung, because you know, I'm gonna speak up. They had we went to one museum and they had names of people who were hung all in the South from different states and counties, and it was just amazing to see people. They took on the responsibility that right is right and wrong is wrong. You know, responsibility. We have, and we take it for granted. We take it for granted, and I know we do. And like I said, I know the world is not like it was back in the 1800s or early 1900s. But guess what? The world is still, it is still some work to be done.
Yes, definitely.
And it's our responsibility. It's our responsibility to bring about that change.
Yes, yes.
You can say it, you can wish upon the star, you can do all, but until you put your hands and feet to the ground and put your hands to the plow and make it happen, that responsibility you're pushing off on somebody else. And when it's yours,
yes,
it's your responsibility. You know, we think about it, and this word here, you know, it's a powerful word. Think about it, young men. If you responsible enough to go up to the young lady and pop your lines, hey, honey, you looking good and all that. You responsible enough to step up to her, and then you responsible enough to do the grown folks. And now she's pregnant. Be responsible to take care of the child. Come on, that's responsibility. Don't stop now. You've been responsible. You've been doing all the things of being responsible. Do your part in taking care of the child. Hey, young lady, if you are responsible enough to go and take care of your body on a daily basis, and on a monthly basis, if you're responsible enough to go and do the things to look good and all that, then guess what? Be responsible enough to take care of your children.
Yes.
Be responsible enough to take care of yourself, to apply yourself for the greater things in life. Stop selling yourself short and be responsible and grab hold to the dreams that you have, the visions that you have, the opportunities that you have.
Yes.
We have more opportunities than our parents have, and we're wasting. Our parents took their responsibility, and here we are, we're wasting ours. Our parents, they didn't have an opportunity to go to any college. Many of our parents or grandparents, they had to go to the historical Black colleges, with nothing wrong with them. I support them, I love them, and I challenge you, but that's all they had. But guess what? Now we can go to any college, and there's more colleges today than it was back then. And we can go to any college. We can go to any vocational school, any technical school, any junior college, and what we doing? Nothing. We barely making it out of high school. Got folks dropping out of high school. You know what I'm saying? Because of the lack of responsibility, because you don't want to do what you're supposed to do to better yourself. You know, come on, let's do better. Let's do better. Let's do our part, and let's take on the responsibility of being the people who God called us to be.
Yes.
We're better than this. And God has always been there for us. So we have no excuse that we can't do it. Yes, you can. If you got God, you can do it. All things are possible.
Mhm.
So that's no excuse. May take you a little longer. That's all right. Everybody can't do stuff on the time frame that the world sets. I mean, so it may take you a little longer. You may have to jump over a little bit more hoops, maybe a little bit harder. But guess what? You be responsible to better yourself. You be responsible to reach your dreams. You be responsible to helping your children better themselves and reach their dreams. You be responsible for taking care of your loved ones when that time comes, of like parents and getting older. I thank God for my aunts and I thank God for my brother. When we got older, we had to make that decision. And me and my brother sat there and we had to make that decision. My mother, she said, this is the only thing I want y'all to do is to make sure that we taken care of. She said, make sure that he's taken care of and we're taken care of in our older age. You know, and I thank God for my brother changing and saying, well, I'll move back home. You know, we had to, but those are responsibilities that you just got. Sometimes you're gonna have to cross. And if your parents live long, it's gonna come a time that you're gonna have to make that decision. You got to be responsible. And you got to make that decision and step up to the plate and say, look, I know y'all, we ain't taking your independence, but this is how I got to go, because now it's our time to take care of you. Responsibility. It's all around us in everything. You got to be responsible, held accountable.
Yes.
Held accountable. Hold yourself accountable and do what you can do and do the best that you can do in all that you do.
Definitely.
Be responsible.
And, like we've been saying, women definitely hold yourself responsible for the things, the way you carry yourselves, the way you look. Not saying you have to look a certain way, but just be responsible. Make sure that you don't put yourself in a situation that you don't need to be in because you're not being responsible. And definitely, mothers and parents, we got to be held accountable for our children. We don't want to just throw them out here in this world and have not taught them anything about life lessons. Yes, school is there, but life lessons, that's something that you have to learn. But that's something that starts at home. So definitely make sure that you take the time out of your schedule and of your day to talk to your children and just teach them little things. I saw on Facebook yesterday when we were driving back home. One of my friends that I know, she was talking about how her daughter was telling her that she wanted some fresh fruit. So I guess the daughter was assuming they were going to go to a grocery store, but she said, no, let's go to a fruit stand. And so she said her daughter was like, a fruit stand? What's that? The simple little things that we don't sometimes teach our children that they
Right.
don't know about, because fruit stands, there are not a lot of them this day and time. But that's something I knew that we had in my area when I grew up. It was always a fruit stand on the corner and was always open if you wanted to go and visit or whatever. But just the simple things like that. Be responsible. And again, it's all about teaching the little life things to your children so that they grow up to know these things.
Right.
If we don't teach them, we cannot expect nobody else to teach them and to learn them about the things in this world, especially about our own history.
Yes.
We definitely can't push that enough. We have to teach our children about our history. Like I said, even though we went there and it was just me and my husband, it's definitely something that I want to take our children to.
Right.
Make sure they're
And
old
will.
enough
And
and,
we will.
definitely to understand it. And it's all about history. And that's what it is, and we were saying, the other week when we were talking about, I can't remember what the word was, but we were talking about, family, going out and doing things and, being with your family. There are so many historical places in Georgia and Montgomery. Montgomery was only about a 2-hour drive, maybe. So that's not a good that's not too far to get in a car one morning for one day. Take your family, go see those national historical monuments. And again, it's all about being responsible and being held accountable for our history. Again, we can't expect for the school, and we know the schools are not teaching our children everything that they need to know. They're hitting mainly on the main people in history. Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Thurgood Marshall. They're hitting on those main people. But what about all those other ones who started and who paved the way for it. So we have to
Right.
be responsible in teaching our children about our history. So, start small, start by getting books at home or pulling it up, telling your children about these people, and then go start, visiting these historical places and monuments and stuff, and letting it be known to your children who these people are. You let it be known to them.
Yes.
And again, it's just all about coming all back to being responsible.
Yes.
We have to do that as individuals. We have to do that as parents. And we also have to do it as spouses as well. We hadn't hit that point, but you have to be responsible in your marriage, and you have to be responsible with them finances.
Right.
You cannot expect to make a certain amount and then go out and spend that same amount and then not be able to have anything to live off of.
Right.
So make sure you are responsible with those finances. Yes, you can go out and enjoy yourselves, but you got to learn how. I listened to this lady, her name is Lynn Richardson, and she always talks about finances, and she always talks about, when you make a certain amount, you got to do 10% in tithes and 10% here and 10% there, and then 30% here and so forth. And it all comes back to add up to that 100%. But she says, make sure at least 50% of your money when you make it is put to the side for those responsibilities, which are those bills
Right.
that you have to live and be able to have a roof over your head and lights and water and food and so forth. So make sure you are responsible with those finances, because again, you have to be diligent with the things that God has given you. And when you do right by the things that God has given you, He will bless you. Doesn't mean He's going to bless you monetarily, but you will be blessed so that you don't have room to store what
Right.
He's going to give you.
That's right.
So I'll again be responsible with the things that you have been required to and be held accountable for.
Yes. Yes. So please take this word and apply it to your life, and realize that the responsibility is yours. There are some things other people have to do that will affect you, but the main responsibility of anything belongs to you.
Yes.
And if you do it, you apply yourself, you do it, and take on it. As the old folks say, take the bull by the horn. You know what I'm saying? So you take it and do what you got to do, and be responsible with all things that you have.
Yes.
Everything
yes.
God bless you, He blesses you because He know that you can do this. You can take care of it. You can have it. You can enjoy it. So be responsible in doing that.
Yes.
That's our word for you today. We're going to close, and we want to leave with you our saying that we always say, and we thank you for tuning in with
Definitely.
us this morning. Challenge yourself to be better, because if you don't, who will? We love you. Step out, be responsible, take on your responsibility,
Yes.
and be responsible with all the blessings that God has given you. It's yours.
Yes.
It's your responsibility.
Have a great Memorial Day.
Yes.
And have a great week as well. Be blessed.
Yes. Be blessed.